All right, friendly reminder, tomorrow is Wednesday. You do have a list quiz. So you do have a list quiz tomorrow, so make sure that you are ready for that. It's your last list quiz. Are we sad? No? Okay. Well, I'm a little sad. I've enjoyed them. You have a list quiz tomorrow. We're finishing notes. You have a test on Thursday. Tomorrow I'm giving you your packet, prompt packet for writing week, and I'm going to tell you what essays you have due on Monday when we get back, because Thursday is kind of busy with the test. Everyone clear on that? So make sure you're ready to go. You have school Thursday, but no school Friday. Not that I need to tell you that. My hopes and dreams depend on it too. With that being said, you are writing 4 essays over the weekend. So like psychologically prepare yourself. Monday you'll come back, we'll grade 2. You write and write some more, and we'll come back. It's over Wednesday night. Last night's Wednesday night. Thursday it's over. Friday I start AP Comp, and then you're off for a whole week. We got this. We can do this. We can do this. On your whiteboard, please. Please tell me, which party believes in intervention of the economy? What party believes in intervening in the economy? Good. Ellie. Democratic. On your white hand, on your whiteboard, please tell me what is. It is a theory created by Adam Smith that believes the government should not be involved with the economy. No. Eve. Laissez-faire. Laissez-faire is an aspect of capitalism. On your whiteboard, what am I describing? It is the way the government manages the economy through taxes, borrowing, and spending money. Good. 2, 3, 4. What do we got, Tula? Fiscal policy. When we talk about fiscal policy, it is based on 2 things. Explain to me what a revenue is and give me a U.S. government example of it. What a revenue is and what a U.S. government example of it is. Good. What do we got? Luke.
Revenue is money made, and an example is taxes.
There you go. Our biggest revenue for the United States government is taxes. On your whiteboard, tell me what expenditures mean and give me an example of a U.S. expenditure. Good. What do we got, Chris?
Money spent in the military.
There you go. The military is the largest expenditure of the United States. On your whiteboard, please tell me, what am I describing? The way the government influences the economy by money supply and interest rates. Money supply and interest rates. Good. What do we got, Patrick? Monetary policy. Money. Monetary. Money. Monetary. On your whiteboard, please tell me, who's the guy behind manipulating interest rates? Who's the dude? Oh my God. Thank you, Tori. I got 1. Tori, please educate your peers. Keynes. Keynesian economics. I would have scored either of those. Ooh, should we pause and write that down? That was a real deal breaker for a lot of you. On your whiteboard, please tell me, what type of economy is based entirely on supply and demand? And can you pass that to Jade, because I'm too lazy to get up. Thank you. There you go, Jade. Ooh, supply and demand, not capitalism. It's not capitalism. If it's based entirely on supply and demand, it's this little nickname. Don't make it harder than it is. Good. No. What is it, Sean? Free market or market economy. Maybe you should write that down. Free market is based entirely on supply and demand. Capitalism is based on laissez-faire. It is based on Adam Smith, those types of things. They are hand in hand, but when you say just explicitly supply and demand, it has to be market. Okay. What is the opposite of a market economy? I talked about in the Do Now today. What is the opposite of a market economy? Don't tell me communism, because communism is an economic system. What is it, Bronson? Command economy. Did we get there yesterday?
No.
Where did we leave off, Alexandria? Keynesian economics. All right, here we go. Okay, so yesterday we got to Keynesian economics. So he's the guy behind the interest rates manipulation. And when is he living, Chris? During what time period?
World War I.
Fine, I'll accept that. Great Depression is a better answer, though. Great Depression is going to follow World War I. Okay? He's going to be the dude. With that being said, ladies and gentlemen, we have two types of economies that you need to know. Economic systems, write them down. We have a market economy. Okay, a market economy is based entirely on supply and demand. Supply means what? Supply means what, Andrew? Items what? It's not a bad answer, but you can't just say items. No, use more than one word, dude. Full sentences work. Bronson.
Goods and services.
No, we need a little bit more. Leo?
Like the goods that you have.
Yeah, the goods that you have. Like the amount of stuff you have. Supply is the amount of stuff you have. Write it down. We clearly don't know this. Okay? So supply is the amount of stuff that you have. Demand is what? Oliver.
Much more asking for.
Yeah, how much people will be willing to pay for it. Okay? So demand is how much people are willing to pay for it. Okay, put a star. Small supply and high demand is the sweet spot. Write it down. Small supply, high demand is the sweet spot, which will create large amounts of wealth. What would be an example of an item that has a small supply but a huge demand? Tatum. Diamonds. Yes. There's not that many of them in the world. Real ones, of course, not the lab ones. Diamonds have a small supply, and people are willing to spend thousands of dollars on them, so that's a sweet spot. What is another product that we would pay a lot of money for that is not coming directly from the earth? Don't say gold. What are other products that we spend thousands of dollars on blindly because of the label on them? Eve? Huh? Oil, fine. Don't give me raw materials. Give me something else. What do we got? Maribel. Well, a car you're going to pay Ford Focus, you're going to spend crazy amounts of money on? No, not really. What do you got, Megan? Phone. Oh my God, guys, you are missing this. Bronson.
Like branded things.
Yes, like what brand?
Like you could buy Gucci stuff, but you could get the same thing basically from Walmart for a little cheaper.
Oh shit, that's quite the equivalency. Okay, Louis Vuitton, ladies and gentlemen, is a specific example. Brands, like your luxury brands, Louis Vuitton, Gucci. I don't even know. Supreme used to be a big name you people used to care about, but I don't think you care about them anymore. But Louis Vuitton is a perfect example. Louis Vuitton, all of their items are incredibly expensive, thousands and thousands of dollars each. At the end of each season, you may or may not know this. So every season they release all of their items, their fashion, their purses, their leather goods, whatever it is. At the end of each season, every store packs up all the stuff that didn't sell and sends it back to Italy. And what do they do with it in Italy? They burn it. They literally light it on fire. Why? Why do they do it, Rinkus?
So that's still worth a lot because there's not a lot of it.
Scarcity, baby. Louis Vuitton is expensive because there's not that many Louis Vuitton things. You can't really buy it secondhand unless you're buying it from a single person who is selling it. There's no secondhand. You're not going to go to TJ Maxx and pick up a Louis Vuitton bag. But can you go to TJ Maxx and buy a Michael Kors bag and a Coach bag Absolutely, because they're allowing that stuff to exist. So the reason why Louis Vuitton and all these other super luxury brands are super valuable is because they destroy all the stuff they couldn't sell. Dior, Chanel, Burberry, they're all burning their shit at the end of the season. Yeah, wild. Because it allows the scarcity to be high, which keeps demand up. All right. The opposite of a market economy is a command economy. So supply and demand is all decided by the people. Demand is decided by the people. Supply isn't always necessary or control. Okay, command economy is when the government makes the decisions. So the government picks 3 types of shoes that we can all choose from, and all of us have to pick one of those 3 choices. That's it. That's all the choice you have. Birks, white sneakers, and some black athletic trainers. Those are your 3 choices. That's it. What?
Is that like what socialists like?
No. Command economy is more like communism. Socialist economies don't typically deal with consumer products because people like to have individual items and like to have luxury brands. So even when you go to places, they typically have more. All right. A mixed economy is when there are some government-controlled businesses and some private businesses. You are going to see this in places like Mexico. It's a mixed economy because their natural resources are controlled by Mexico. You're going to see this in Russia because their natural gas is controlled by Russia. And China is also a mixed economy. All right. Measuring your economy. You need to know that we measure economies using unemployment rate. We measure the economy by unemployment rate. Every quarter it comes out, so 4 times a year. It just came out about 2 weeks ago, and it was very, very positive. So Biden was very, very happy because that tells you the economy is doing well. Okay, the unemployment rate is how hard it is to find a job. The lower the unemployment rate means the easier it is to find a job. And if it's easy to find a job, that means companies are making money and expanding, which means there's opportunities to be hired. Okay, so unemployment rate, the lower it is, the better for us. The higher it is, because it hit an all-time high of 15 or 18% during the pandemic. Which was, I think during the Great Depression, it hit 25. But during the pandemic, it hit a high of like 15 or 17, something like that. Okay? So, the unemployment is an indicator of the economy. Other indicators are the stock market. Eve, go to the nurse, please. Okay. Unemployment numbers, stock market is an indicator, as well as oil prices are a bit, to a degree, not always, but they are seen. It's a measurement. And finally, inflation. Does inflation hurt, people? Yes, we are living in the highest inflation that's been in 40 years. It is definitely hurting. Okay. Inflation hurts because of the rise in consumer goods. You need to know that. Okay? Okay, and then finally you need to know consumer price index. And this is the one I like the best. Because some of those, like unemployment rate to me is obscure. Inflation, I'm not smart enough to understand it. You know what I mean? But consumer price index, which is a measurement we use, is how much our basic items cost in comparison to a different time period. Like eggs, milk, and bread. They look at the average cost in the country for milk, eggs, and bread, and they compare it to where it was last year, 10 years ago, 15 years ago, wherever, and we can see how much more Americans are paying. And are we paying more now than ever? Yeah, but guess who has higher profits than ever? Grocery stores. Would they be jacking up prices to improve their profits? I know, shocking. Okay. You need to know. You shouldn't have to write this down. you should know that if the economy is doing well, a president's probably going to be reelected. If the economy is not going well, like for Jimmy Carter, things were not going well for him, he did not get reelected. Donald Trump, when he, in his last year in office, the economy crashed because of COVID. He did not get reelected, but there was a lot of other things going on with that one as well. Joe Biden may not get elected because his economy is really hard. So that's a big indicator. Okay, monetary policy. Now today's a big day. It is election day for almost a third of states here in the United States. Virginia's a big deal today. Democrats in Virginia think they can flip it red. I don't think they can, but they think they can. So that's a big one to watch. Abortion rights, whether you care or not care, is a huge item on multiple elections today, and that'll be a huge indicator for the presidential. Abortion, I don't care what your personal opinion is. You can have your own opinion, but it is a lightning rod for people to go out and vote. So if a lot of abortion protections are voted for today in these third of these states, it shows a stronger sign for the Democratic candidate going into 2024. So it's a huge indicator of what's going to happen because people are actually voting today. So, and if a lot of abortion protections get voted down, that means it's probably likely that a Republican is going to win the presidential office. So it's a huge deal today, right, Bronson? He's checking in on his polls coming in. Okay, when we talk about monetary policy, we've already talked about it. Don't write it down. You shouldn't need to. It's your manipulation of money. Yes, it's on your vocab. It's on your focus. It's all controlled by the federal board. The board of the board of governors is the one who actually controls the interest rates. Make sure you're familiar with that. Perfect. Keynesian economics, we talked about it to a great point. Fiscal policy is how we deal with the budget. We've already kind of talked about that. Perfect. What I would like you to write down now is social. Social welfare programs. That's your new big heading, please. Tomorrow doing foreign diplomacy. All right. Social welfare programs. There are two types. The first one are entitlement programs that you are entitled to because you're an American. Because you were born in this country, you're entitled to it, which is why it's called an entitlement. So what would be an example of an entitlement that you are born into? You have a card with a number on it. Social Security is an entitlement. The moment you're born, you're given your Social Security number. Okay? So write down example, Social Security, Medicare. Okay, Medicaid is a little bit different. Okay, so entitlement programs. Everyone in this room is enrolled as long as you're a U.S. citizen. Now, does that mean I can start accessing my Social Security right now at the age of 36? No, I have to wait till the age of 65, but I'm enrolled, which is why when you're a baby, you get your little card. Okay, your second type is called means tested. Means tested means you qualify for because of your economic position. So, entitlement, as long as you're born in the United States, you get it. Means tested, you have to qualify for. So, with your means tested for entitlement programs, it's usually not something people are excited to be a part of because it means you're below poverty. And that includes TANF, which is I don't know. It's Clinton. We're going to talk about it here in a few minutes. It's supporting poorer families to help get out of the cycle of poverty. And then you have Medicaid. We're going to talk about that here in a second, too. Okay. Another major argument in funding and social funding is going to be school choice. Write it down. A major argument with social funding is whether vouchers should or should not exist. Write it down. A major argument with social funding is whether vouchers should exist. In Florida, by the way, is the huge focal point in this. I'm a public education teacher, so where do you think I fall? Do you know what this argument is about? It's a big deal. Okay, don't write this down, just listen. Okay, you are clearly at a public school, and if you thought Plan High School was not satisfying your needs, people who are pro-school choice believe that you should go to the front office and say, I'm withdrawing my student, and I want a voucher. And then School of HB Plant will write you a check for a voucher, and then you take that and go to your private school. So if you're a male in the room, and you thought Plan High School was failing you, and you wanted to go to Jesuit, you could go to the front office and say, I need a voucher so I can go to Jesuit. And Plan High School would cut you a check for $3,500 to take away, because that's the public funding we get as a school, and you take it with you to go to a private school. That's what pro-choice vouchers means. Vouchers, write it down, vouchers are when public funding is used in private schools. Okay. The opposite of that, which I'm a high school history teacher in public education. So what side do you think I'm on? I'm on the public education side. So I'm on the public education side. Henry Bennett, even though we can't afford to do private education, we'll always do public education, because public education, to me, is the bedrock of society. It's the great equalizer. When we talk about America's the greatest nation in the world, it's because we have public education that gives people the opportunity to reach the higher echelons. I'll get off my soapbox. With that being said, ladies and gentlemen, what are we talking about? When you take money from a public school, you take your $3,500, does Plan High School need that money? Does public schools need that money? So with every kid that leaves, money is leaving public education. Now here's the catch. Obviously that's sad for public education, but this is what pisses me off and other people who are anti-voucher system. When you take that money to a private school, there is no accountability in private education. So you can take that $3,500 of taxpayer dollars, and you can bring it to a public school and you give it to them and say, here's my tuition, and they accept it. There is no accountability of where that money is going to, that the education that you're receiving can even get you past the basic standard. Because if you are in private education, you do not have to pass any exam to graduate. The only thing they have to say is that you can graduate. Are there private schools that have students who cannot pass basic tests? Yes. Are there private schools that are used as money-making institutions and not about education? Yes. Is there any accountability of where your tax dollars go to? No. Here in public education, you have to take tests, yes? And if you don't do well on your test, we get held accountable, and they take money away from us in order to help push and motivate us to improve test scores. There's accountability for the money that comes into a public school. There is no accountability that goes into private school. Now, are there incredibly wonderful private schools out there? 1,000%. Absolutely. The best schools in the United States are private schools. Of course, of course, of course. However, are there absolute garbage ones that go bankrupt because they paid their administration too much? Yes. And there's no accountability that you're actually getting a better education because there's no standardized testing that is universal, holding you accountable. So, what you need to know about this argument, because it is on your test, you need to know that there is pro-school choice versus opponents of school choice. It is private school vouchers versus public education. So, here in Florida, we voted to double vouchers. So, for every kid that leaves, they're getting almost $7,000 to go to private schools. So, what has already exploded in Florida? Private schools. Because for the first time, it's probably going to be profitable to open a private school. Now, does that mean that the education you are getting at a private school is better? No, because there's lots of private schools every single year that close because they're doing a terrible job. And they can't mismanage money, but they make a ton of profits. Okay? So, there's pros and cons to both sides. Now, are there really bad public schools? Hello? And just because you're poor, does that mean you should be stuck in a public school that's failing? No. So, there's got to be some sort of place in the middle that's not just giving people the access of giving them a check and leaving, and then public education crumbles around us. Because that is what's happening. Anyway, all right, moving forward. Okay, you need to know what income is. Income is the amount of money you make between 2 points of time. So I get paid, Bronson, every 2 weeks, Bronson. Bronson's on his phone. He's texting someone. He's probably talking about how passionate he is. He's so anti-voucher right now, aren't you, Bronson? You're all riled up about it. So, with that being said, income is how much money you are making between a time period. So, every year, I make $51,000. If you think that's enough, it's not. But with my bonuses, because I get people to pass, I make up like close to 60. So, I make about $9,000 in profits off of you people. Hey, $100. That man's a 150 right there. So is that man. That's a 150. Oh, Jade's here. Hey, Jade. That's a 152. All right, here we go. Wealth is how much in assets you already own. Like you own. Like your car is an asset because you own it. Now, if you're leasing your car, it is not an asset. Your house, if you own your house, that's an asset. How much is in your 401k because you had to deposit that money? That is an asset. Okay. You do know that there is something called the poverty line. Okay. A poverty line is how we measure people who cannot afford the minimal lifestyle in the United States. In 2012, the minimal lifestyle was $19,000 a year. I am telling you right now, I make $51,000 a year. With my bonuses, I make about 60. With that being said, ladies and gentlemen, I am sponsored by McCrae Bennett. He pays for most of my life bills because what I make is not enough to live in Tampa. Now, could I go and live in Georgia, which is a much cheaper state? Yes. I'm also making less in Georgia as a teacher, if you could possibly imagine. Okay? With that being said, depending on across the nation in 2012, they said a family of 4 could live off $19,000. What? Very low. It's in 2012 though, so money had a higher value back then. I think the newest rate is we're up to like $28,000 a year is the poverty line here. So anyone below making $28,000 a year is in the poverty line. Now, people move in and out of the poverty line. Okay, with a couple good years, you can pull yourself out of the poverty line. If some big thing happens, like you get into a car accident, you go to the hospital and you have all these medical bills, then you go back down. Poverty is a cyclical system. It is very hard to get out of it. If you're in it, it's very hard to escape. All right. All right, there are 3 types of taxes that you need to be familiar with when we talk about social. Progressive, you already know that, it's tax the rich. Then we have proportional, which means everyone pays the same percentage. That's currently the system we're living in. You should write this down. So there are 3 types of taxes. You shouldn't really have to write progressive because you know that's tax the rich. Proportional means everyone is paying the same amount. Percentage-wise. So if you are making $100,000 a year, you're paying more percentage than I am, but we're all paying the same percentage. And then we have regressive taxes. Regressive taxes is when the poor pay more than the wealthy. And if you're like, how does that happen? Tax breaks! Write it down. Tax breaks are how regressive taxes occur. Because the government wants to incentivize, and keep in mind, if you can pass a tax break, your constituents are happy. So what do Congress members love to do? Tax breaks. Because it doesn't cost the government more money, but it doesn't make them as much money, but the constituents are happy. So tax breaks is something very common that Congress passes. And tax breaks are when you get money back from the government. So if you're a small business owner, I think you get a tax break of $10,000. If you own a business that employs more than 25 people, I think you get $25,000 back in taxes. So if you have a tax bill of $100,000, okay, but you get a bunch of tax breaks, right now I just saved you $35,000, so you're already paying significantly less than what it is. We all know that taxes are kind of a game, yes? Okay, you get all these little things. The more you know, the less you pay, kind of thing. Donald Trump bragged about it during his election in 2016. I don't pay that much taxes because I'm too smart to pay more taxes. That was his big claim, and that's kind of dealing with tax breaks and stuff like that. All right, we're almost done. Okay, New Deal is your new heading. So these are the historical major sections. The New Deal is in the 1920s and 30s. It's in the 1930s, just right 30s. In the 1930s, under FDR. And what does it create? So, what does it create, Colin? Simple answer here. Social Security is the simple answer here. Okay? The New Deal is going to create Social Security. What is Social Security? It is a government. Write it down. It is a government mandated retirement system to keep people out of poverty in retirement. Okay, think about it. If you're a factory worker in the 1800s, you have to work until the day you die because how much money can you save? None. So you had to work until the day you die. Imagine if you can't work anymore because you're too old. So what happens to you? You become a dependent on the state and it's very expensive. Okay? So Social Security is you pay in every paycheck as a retirement for you. So when you actually stop working, you have money so the government doesn't have to pay for housing anymore. Okay? That's what it is. Now, you guys are very bright, very smart. Things are going to work out for you. You're going to start a job once you graduate college, your big boy, big girl job, and you're going to put money into a 401k, an IRA, 501, and you're going to put tons and tons of money aside for retirement. If you are on Social Security, you're not going on like Italian cruises. You're not doing that. You're living in a house. You're living in your kid's house. If you are saving money like you should be with 401ks, 501ks, Roth IRAs, all of those types of things, then you are going to have the comfortable retirement that you think of. You know, and you take your grandbabies to Disney for a week and all that stuff. Now, every single one of you will also claim Social Security because what have you done to it? You've paid in, but you use it to kind of supplement. Does that make sense? You don't live off of it, but you use it because it makes your life easier. Okay? Smart, intelligent, driven people like yourselves and me and my husband, we save money for retirement. We're not completely dependent on Social Security. Unfortunately, not everyone has the same access to opportunities, so some people clearly only live off of Social Security, which is a very tough lifestyle in retirement. Okay, The Great Society. Here we go.
Not sure I understand.
Shut up. The Great Society is by LBJ, or Lyndon B. Johnson. Okay, he declares a war on poverty. You should know that. Okay, he is all about Medicare. Medicare is for people who can't afford health care. Medicare is for people who can't afford health care. It's a basic catch-all system. School aid programs are giving more money to poor schools. So if you're from a very poor neighborhood, the government gives you more money than the tax revenue. Schools right now are based on tax revenue. So Plant High School is a very wealthy school because the houses around here are very expensive. That's why we have a lot of money, and your families have been, we have a $2 million endowment, which is insane for a public school, and you people's parents give a lot of money to the school. Can we agree? They're constantly writing checks. That is what makes Plant special. That is what, there's two things that make schools successful. The first thing is money. The more money you have, the better the materials are, the more driven you are, the better books you have, all of those things. You attract better teachers make better students. Second thing is parent involvement. Okay, the more involved your parents are, they're going to keep you on better track. They're going to keep the school on better track. Everything benefits from parent involvement. How parent involvement heavy is Plant High School? Exactly. Your parents probably are annoyed by how much they have to do for this damn school. They have to go to all these damn things. Okay, that's what makes schools very successful. That's why Plant is successful. Okay, and then welfare. Welfare. Okay, supporting poor families with food banks and entitlement programs. He's also known for his job trainings. So as we know, the economy constantly is evolving. We used to be an industrial economy in the 50s. Then we used to be a service industries in the 80s. And now we're a technology-driven economy. Now we're offering ways to educate people for technology. Okay, Reagan is your next one. So we have the Great Society, which is LBJ, and now we have Reagan. Reagan is the only Republican we discuss. So what is Reagan going to do? He's going to cut health entitlement programs. Okay? He's going to cut benefit programs. Okay? That's his big thing. He cuts it, and he will help balance the budget. Because benefit programs are very expensive, so it allows him to balance the budget. He's one of the last presidents to balance the budget. Okay, so he is going to cut benefit programs significantly. However, the very poor, write it down, will still be on benefit programs. But the people who are on the cusp, who are doing okay, but they're one paycheck away from complete collapse, those people got booted off the programs, which is both a positive and a negative. Because some people, especially in 2023, people are having very hard time economically right now. Lots of cars are getting repoed or repossessed by banks. It's happening at a higher rate than it's ever had because car payments right now are like $750, $800 when they used to be $350, $400. That's a huge increase every single month. Welfare Reform Act is Clinton. So Clinton's economy is going to be welfare reform. He does TANF, temporary aid to needy families. Clinton is all about, okay, so he's a Democrat again. So he is pro-benefit programs. Okay, so he creates the temporary need for families. He also sets a 5-year maximum. You can only be using benefit programs for 5 years. Because by the time Reagan gets there, people are tired of paying all this money for entitlement programs as a population. So now even the Democrats are trying to keep benefit programs small. Okay? And he is the one who switched it to block grants for states for welfare programs. Clinton does the block grants. You do need to know that. What's a block grant, Mia? I taught this to you in week 4.
They give the money for specific purposes for the state?
No, not specific. Andrew?
Like, they don't allow certain things.
No. Colin?
Like spend it on those things.
Yeah, you just have to spend it in a category. Like children. Spend it on children. So you can build like a massive park and then put a gym, swing set and say children. And you can fund the whole park with it. Okay? So block grants are very, very popular because it allows people to have lots of access. Okay, the future of Social Security is your next heading, and then we're like practically done. Isn't that exciting? Okay, the future of Social Security is that Social Security is running out. It's not going to be there for you. You're paying into it, but it won't be there for you because too many people are claiming it and not enough people are putting in for it. The Democrats want to fix it. Write it down. Democrats want to fix it. The Republicans are against it. Why are the Republicans against changing Social Security? Because a lot of the voting base for Republicans are old people, and old people don't want to change it. A lot of the voting base for Democrats are young, and young people want to fix it so it can be there when they're there. Goodbye. Oh, yeah. Crushed it, man. I got it all done. Bye.